Hey filmmaker, Chungdha here. This is the Viltrox K60, which is a very bright and affordable 2 feet LED RGB tube light, and this size of 2 feet or about 58 centimeters. It's quite a nice size to use on film sets. It's just nice for lighting a person, especially right now I am using the light to light myself. But of course, yeah, I have this one in my hand with a grid on it, but I'm now using the light on myself without a grid. But also I've used it on a few short film sets, and it has done the job very well. And it's, yeah, very bright, and that is actually quite useful for a lot of situations. And let's actually go directly to my test, where I tested this light, setting it 1 meter away from my phone with using a Lux app to measure the lux value of the light. And also we've blacked out the background so we don't have a lot of like ambient spill or reflecting from other things. The light is actually very bright at 8500, and going down to 2500 Kelvin, we can see there is a significant drop. However, it's still very bright at that side. And comparing it to other brands, I have to say that Amaran or Nightlight are not even close to the brightness of the Viltrox K60. And a similar brand or similar light with the similar value or similar brightness would have to be the Helios from Astera. However, that will cost quite a lot more than the Viltrox K60. And of course, with the Viltrox K60, we get like a nice grid. Here I have a very nice grid on this light. And yeah, this light actually, I have to say, with the grid on it is quite interesting. It doesn't drop that much of a brightness. So with the grid on here, we have like a drop of about 70 to 100 lux, which is actually not that bad. But also we get a very nice directional light with this grid on it. And yeah, it comes included in the package, which is quite nice instead of other brands where you have to buy it as an accessory. If you want to buy this light, I would suggest buying the double kit, which also comes with a nice hard case. While if you buy a single light, you get like a soft pouch, which isn't that nice to travel with, but also the hard case is more protecting your light from like bumps or like anything else. But yeah, going back to the test, we've tested the light also at 50%, and quite interestingly, at 50% we're still brighter than the Amaran or the Nan light. And then to 1% to test it out. And 1% is quite interesting because this light right now I'm setting it at 1%, and 1% is still quite bright, even though the value are quite low. But yeah, the light is just a very bright light, but still it is quite good, but it just at the low end could have been maybe a little bit even lower. However, it is more comparable of like that 1% is actually the 1% of its 100%, but it's just could be maybe even less bright for certain users, because on like very dark shoots we still had like a feeling that maybe 1% was a little bit too bright for certain things. Right now I'm also using this light to light myself, and I'm using it at 20%. So that is 20-30% is actually most of the time that we use it on. And it is actually like quite great that it is that bright at that value because of the built-in battery. So the built-in battery lasts about 90 minutes. And because we're using the light at 20-30%, it means it lasts about 4 to 5 hours. The light itself actually recharges with a USB Type-C, and we can actually connect it to like a PD powered power bank, or with like a 100-watt charger. And we were able to get like quite fast charging and enable to recharge it fully during breaks. So I have to say that using this light was less stressful than other lights that would require more longer recharge time, and also yeah, unsure how long the battery would last. But this lasts quite long, and we didn't really have any issues that it would run out of power on set. And then we tested this light on RGB, and this light has like also an HLS setting. More interestingly, setting it on the RGB white, yellow, we can change the individual colored LEDs. And interestingly, with all the LEDs on 100%, we don't get the brightest light, but it's actually the brightest when we change the white to 100%. And not quite sure why it is that. Maybe it's how it pushes the power through the LEDs, that maybe just powering only the white LED that it's the brightest. And of course, we have effects on the K60, which we can access through the menu on the light itself, but also through the phone app. And connecting it to the phone app, we have to use the WeLight Pro app and not the Viltrox app. I'm not quite sure the reason behind that, but the Viltrox app, you just don't get any access to this light, but with the WeLight Pro, you can access it. One thing to remember, you have to set the channel number and the group number on the light itself, which is not very hard to do. You just have to hold the set button to gain access to changing the number for the channel and the letter for the grouping. And once you connect it to the phone app, we have quite a lot of settings. I'm now in the CCT mode, but only annoying thing I can see that is in the CCT mode, it's setting up for quite a lot of odd Kelvin values, with Kelvin 3000, 4000, 5200 Kelvin. So these are very odd values. I wish they would stick around more to the correct most used values, which would be 3200, 4400, and of course 6500 would be also quite nice to have, but also the most out ends of 2500 and 8500 kelvins. But those are not that big of an issue because we can slide it to the correct Kelvin values on our own. But it is quite nicer if we have like possibilities to like change these values or have the more correct values. Then to HLS is quite normal, just go through the different degrees of colors and then change HLS or saturations to get different colors. RGB white, yellow, of course what I told before, changing individual colors. And then we have the X and Y coordinates, which is quite interesting, color triangle, dependable on like, how specific you're getting with that. And then color chip is also quite interesting. We can choose like different colored filters. And then that is quite interesting what color filter we want to add. And then to the effects. So we have the CCT effects or RGB effects. The only difference with the RGB effects that we get like the fireworks effect. So let's first, this is the flash effect. Quite interesting. Then burst. This is burst. And then flash lamp. Blink. Weld. SOS. Candlelight. Flame. CCT cycle. And then TV. And then the fireworks 1. And then the second fireworks. So the difference between the fireworks is the speed. And we can alter the speed on the app also, and also change the brightness. But we don't really get much setting of like changing the individual, yeah, don't really get a lot of other kinds of values we can change. We just can change each of the effects and only the speed and the brightness of the effects. And then to the con of the K60, I have to say it's missing the magnets on here is not a big deal because not everything is made out of metal, and you can of course just gaffer tape this to something because this is not that heavy of a light. The other drawback is that if you want it charging while using, that the USB Type-C is exactly at the back of the light, so it's not an ideal situation if you have it mounted directly against the wall. And yeah, the other drawback is I would have liked it to have like a 1/4-20 mount also in the middle here and not only at the sides, so it can be held like a gobo in the middle, making it much easier to aim, and also for just certain uses it's just quite nicer having it held in the middle because of the weight instead of stressing the sides and holding all the weight of the light on the side of here. And in conclusion, this is just a really nice light to use. I've been using it to light myself right now and using a reflector on this side to fill in the shadows. And also this light is just at a nice size because personally, I feel like the 1 meter ones are too long for a lot of situations, but also to bring with you, it is not as portable. This, I feel like I can just hand carry it quite nice, or put it into a bag quite nicely and bring it with me. While 1 meter, you definitely need a much longer case to bring with you. And the 30 centimeters ones are just too small for a lot of situations, and especially not big enough to light a person. So definitely, if you want to get it, get the double kit, which comes with a nice hard case to carry it with and to transport it with. And that was mainly it. If you want to purchase this light, there'll be a link in the description below. If you want to see more videos, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.